Jokes about bok choy. Jokes about chicken.
I used to know this one.
Oh my god.
Wow.
The chick disappointed his mother because he wasn't what he cracked up to be. Hey guys, it's Junior Chef Addison, and today I'm going to be making sesame glazed chicken with soy bok choy and coconut ginger rice. So let's just start. First things first, we have 3 full heads of bok choy, and I am going to wash them because they're kind of dirty, because if they're going to be fresh, they're going to be dirty because it came from the ground. So I'm just going to put them into a colander. And put it on the wash setting. And just rinse it until all the dirt's gone. So now I'm just going to wring out my bok choy. It's like hair, but it's bok choy. Because we don't want any excess water to be on it when we chop it up, because it'll kind of make the whole board all wet. So we're just going to get our bok choy and trim off the ends, because you don't want to eat this. It's hard and crunchy and not too good. So I'm just going to chop off the ends, all of them. They kind of look like flowers on the end. Pretty, but we don't need them. So now I'm just going to roughly chop all of my bok choy into about 1-inch slices. And get back to mincing up this garlic. I just died. Don't cough on the food. Anyways. Okay. My garlic is all minced. I have about 5 cloves, and I'm just going to put it off to the side or in a small bowl or something where it's not going to be in the way. And now I'm just going to start cooking my rice. So now we're going to get our rice cooking. Here I have my chopped garlic, some rice, some coconut oil, and once it heats up, it'll be simmering with the garlic and some chicken broth and some coconut milk. I'm going to shake up this can because we don't want it to be all chunky, so gotta do it for about 2 minutes. We in this flexing like, ooh! Alright. Alright, so now I'm just going to take my coconut oil and my garlic, and I'm going to heat up my coconut oil in a pan until it's all liquefied. And once that's nice and heated up, I'm going to add in my garlic and just kind of toss it around until it's nice and brown. Add in my coconut milk and my chicken broth, and we'll be good to go. So now my garlic is sizzling and it's very aromatic with the coconut oil. And I'm just going to keep mixing that up. It's going to smell delicious. Milk. It's okay if it's just a slightest bit chunky because it's all going to even out when it's heated. And so my coconut milk and my chicken broth are now combined. So I'm going to add that to my amazingly smelling coconut milk and garlic. Once that's added, I'm just going to keep mixing it until I have a steady boil. So now I'm just going to make sure that my coconut milk and all of that is all nice and boiling and ready to go. And once I see that it's at a steady boil, I'm going to grab my rice and I'm going to add it in to my boiling liquid. And so I'm going to make sure my rice is all mixed in. And now, as I can see that it's still boiling, I'm going to put on my cap, turn it down to a lower heat, and let that simmer for about 25 minutes, checking up on it every 10. The next step is going to be making the glaze for the chicken. And so I have 5 sauces or ingredients here that I'm going to be using. One of them is rice vinegar, and this is going to bring a nice kick to it in an acidic way. So I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon into a regular metal bowl. And then I'm going to take some soy sauce. And this is a pretty key ingredient because it's like really ties everything together. And I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Soy sauce is really one of my favorite ingredients to use. and I really love it on all kinds of different dishes. So now I'm just going to use some chili oil, and this is super, super concentrated, and it has the chili actually in it, but all we're going to need is the oil. And I'm just going to do like a fourth or an eighth of a teaspoon, kind of depending how spicy you like it, because it's so strong. I definitely don't want it to overpower all of my other flavors. And before I add anything else in, I'm just going to give these ingredients a mix. And once that's all mixed together, I'm just going to add some mirin, which is sweetened sake, so it is alcohol, but it cooks down, so it's not going to be alcoholic. I'm just going to add about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of that. And finally, some toasted sesame, and this is going to be kind of the main flavor that it's going to show through, because it's so delicious and so concentrated. I really just love the smell of it. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of this, which is actually a lot. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to do about a half teaspoon because I don't want it to overpower all the other delicious flavors. And now, this is actually an attachment for a hand-hold mixer because I couldn't find a mini whisk, but you can use a fork or anything like that, but this just looked perfect to me. Mix these all together and I'll be right back. So I've doubled my recipe and I've just added a little bit of this and a little bit of that until it's to the kind of flavor that you want. And so now I'm going to take this glaze and I'm just going to set it aside. Ready? So I'm just going to check on my rice. It's looking and smelling delicious. Take off the cap and mix. Make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom. Gonna mix it all together. So just like before, as like a fat component, I'm just going to use coconut oil. So it's going to tie all of the different components into the dish. And so now I'm going to take my chicken. This is cleaned and dried, and so my chicken is in the glaze / marinade. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coconut oil, which is basically going to be the fat component for the whole entire dish. And so I'm going to take the coconut oil and put it into my large nonstick pan. And so now I'm going to wait for that all to melt and become a full coat on the pan. And then I'm going to add in my chicken and some of the glaze. So let's get back to cooking. I have my chicken and I'm going to add it into my pan of hot coconut oil. Add about half of my marinade into the pan with them and let that simmer down. I've just taken my chicken off the heat and placed it in a bowl with some of the glaze, and now I'm going to set it aside. So what I'm going to do now is take all of my bok choy that's chopped and add it into the same pan where the chicken was cooked. And I'm going to mix that around and add in some more soy sauce because we want the soy sauce flavor to show through the most in the bok choy, and the sesame the most in the chicken. Where did my soy sauce go? Found it. So now I'm just going to drizzle my soy sauce over, and this is about 2 tablespoons because we really want to make sure it's nice and soy saucy. Once we have that on there, I'm going to cook this down for about 7 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes. I have some black sesame seeds. I'm going to sprinkle them over. Make sure there's a good amount because they bring a really nice look and color, but also the flavor of sesame is really delicious and it's going to add a nice crunch. So now I'm just going to place all of my cooked bok choy into a bowl. So I'm going to take some of my bok choy and layer that in. You don't want to put too much, but you want to make sure that it's going to be visible and you can also taste it. I'm going to do another layer of rice, making sure it covers the bok choy completely. And another layer of bok choy. Oh my God. God, this piece is just really not being too nice. Okay. You know what? We're not using that. And finally, a last layer of rice over the top, making sure you pack it down very nicely. It's all even and the bok choy is all packed. And now I'm going to flip it quickly onto a plate and pull it up slowly, and then place it back down to make sure it's staying in shape, and then slowly pull it up again. So now what we're going to do is take the most juicy looking piece of chicken, probably this one, and we're just going to slice it into strips. And this is coconut garlic rice with soy bok choy and sesame glazed chicken.